Hello and welcome to French Philosophers React, a philosophical take on the news headlines for today, August 30th, 2024. This is an AI-generated podcast and can make mistakes. Use it for generating possible ideas, but don't rely on it as an authoritative guide to the news or to the details of French philosophy. In the news today, millions of Americans are enduring excessive heat as Labor Day weekend approaches. A brutal heat wave has spread from the Midwest to the eastern U.S., affecting over 20 million people. Cities across central states and coastal cities in South Carolina and Virginia are experiencing major heat, with temperatures reaching up to 105 F 40 C. The climate crisis is increasing the frequency and severity of heat waves, which can be deadly, especially for vulnerable groups such as children, the elderly, and outdoor workers. A cold front is expected to bring relief to the East Coast by Labor Day. So what might French philosophers have to say about this news item? The unbearable lightness of heat, a reflection on the human condition in the face of climate crisis. As I ponder the story of millions sweltering under excessive heat watches across the United States, I'm reminded of the profound insights of French philosopher Luc Nancy. In his work, The Experience of Freedom, Nancy posits that human existence is characterized by an inherent finitude, a fundamental vulnerability that arises from our embodiment and spatiality. This notion serves as the foundation for my central thesis. The climate crisis, exemplified in the story, reveals the unbearable lightness of heat, an existential threat that not only imperils human life, but also underscores the precarious nature of our existence. Nancy's concept of finitude is crucial in understanding the implications of the climate crisis. The human body, as a finite entity, is exposed to the vicissitudes of the natural world. The story highlights how heat waves, exacerbated by human activities, have become an existential menace, claiming over 1,200 lives annually in the United States alone. This vulnerability is not merely physical, but also ontological. It confronts us with the limits of our being and the fragility of our existence. In Being Singular Plural, Nancy explores the notion of being with, a fundamental aspect of human existence that emphasizes our irreducible relation to others and the world. The climate crisis, in this sense, is not merely an environmental issue, but a crisis of coexistence. The story illustrates how heat waves affect not only individuals, but also communities, particularly vulnerable groups such as children, the elderly, and outdoor workers. This shared vulnerability underscores the necessity of rethinking our relationships with each other and the natural world. Furthermore, Nancy's concept of the intruder in The Intruder is pertinent to the climate crisis. The intruder represents an external force that disrupts our sense of self and forces us to confront our own limits. Heat waves can be seen as an intruder, an unwelcome presence that disrupts our daily lives and exposes our vulnerability. However, this disruption also presents an opportunity for self-reflection and reevaluation of our values and practices. In The Experience of Freedom, Nancy argues that human existence is characterized by a fundamental ambiguity. We are both free and finite. The climate crisis embodies this paradox. While human activities have led to the exacerbation of heat waves, it is also within our capacity to mitigate their effects. The story highlights the need for collective action, as exemplified in the American Red Cross's guidelines for coping with extreme heat. In conclusion, the story serves as a poignant reminder of the unbearable lightness of heat, an existential threat that underscores the precarious nature of human existence. Through Nancy's philosophical lens, we come to realize that the climate crisis is not merely an environmental issue, but a crisis of coexistence, a confrontation with our own finitude and vulnerability. As we navigate this uncertain terrain, it is essential to acknowledge the fundamental ambiguity of human existence, our capacity for both freedom and destruction. Ultimately, it is within our collective power to mitigate the effects of heat waves and reestablish a harmonious relationship with the natural world. Thank you for listening to today's episode of French Philosophers React. Be sure to come back tomorrow for more reflective takes on the day's news.